Welcome to Reasonable Doubt, presented to you by the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association. Here with two of my best friends and the most amazing lawyers I've ever known, Mr. Mike Driver.
Howdy. Pleasure to be here.
And my co-host with the raddest bow tie in the city and the county, Mr. Justin Harris. How you doing?
This one's the raddest? Is this live or is this a rerun?
Last I checked, you were the best dressed in the Harris County courtroom.
You must not go there very often.
Well,
Which we all know is not true.
Well, I hang out with the peeps outside because
Okay.
the elevators still aren't working. It's been 2 years since Harvard and we're still wrapped around the building.
I think I figured it out.
Tell me.
There really aren't 12 elevators in that building. There's just two, and they just shift around. Because I never see two coming in at the same time anymore. Like, it's just like one door opens and it goes up and you wait 30 minutes and then like that door over there will open. I'm convinced the elevators just like jump over shafts and there's just two elevators.
Let me ask you, would you rather still be in the FLC, the Family Law Center, or are you okay with the current setup? Or was it better before? What are you thinking?
I think that the problem was, okay, first off, I think that those two as the only options is kind of a, what's the word, a straw man argument.
Well, where are we going to put them?
I don't know.
We're going to go under the hanging tree?
The problem with this, with Criminal Justice Center is what we've talked about on this show for, how long has it been open?
20 years?
20 years. The problem with the Family Law Center is we couldn't get to trial, right?
Sure.
You had four courts sharing one trial courtroom.
Fair enough.
They didn't even half the time know which court was supposed to be going or not. And that's one big reason, from what I understand, that the new judges were so emphatic about getting back into the Criminal Justice Center, is they wanted their own courtrooms where they could all be in trial on the same day if they needed to. And there's been trials much more frequently.
You know what I'm seeing is that a lot of the judges, not all of y'all, but a lot of them are working. You know, I remember the days, it's 11 o'clock and you better be done with my court because I got to get out of here at 11 o'clock, at 9:30. You know, docket's been running for an hour. Give me a break, man. Or, ma'am. You know, like, give me a break. Why am I rushing to get out by 11 or 10:30 just because you gotta get out of here? I get it every so often, but not all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, work 9 to 5, 9 to 4, 9 to 3, or just work till the job's done. You know who does that? Judge Kelly Johnson. Judge Herb Ritchie does that.
Yeah.
They stick around till the job's done.
That's good. It's commendable.
What do you think? You like the Family Law Center more or the current setup?
I hated the Family Law Center.
Why'd you hate it?
That's where I got my divorce.
That was a bad day, not a good day.
Fair enough.
All right.
Fair
No,
enough.
I just didn't like it. It's too cramped and it's old.
Nowhere to meet with a client. You can't sit down anywhere.
Yeah, there's nowhere to meet with anybody. And I'm just glad it's back in CJC.
I enjoyed the Family Law Center because I was able to use the stairs. Mm-hmm. However, I think it's pretty silly that, I mean, if that's all they got, that's all they got, that we can only go to 10 on one side of the elevator bank. So it's like you have 4 misdemeanor courts that you can go to on the other side and get there. But other than floor 10, if you're going higher than that, you're stuck.
Yeah.
You're stuck.
Waiting for the elevator.
Waiting for the elevator.
20, yeah.
Do y'all, have you noticed that they're letting people go to the back?
Attorneys, yeah.
I know, but you still need a card to activate the elevator in the back.
Oh, when I've gone back there, they've ushered me back with other attorneys, and then they've had somebody there.
Because somebody in there has done it.
What do you mean?
Like somebody as part of the group that's trying to get up there had the badge to do it.
Right. Well, no. There was one of the women who worked in the building.
Have you seen that the last couple days?
No. Like the first time I saw it was the first day I think they started doing it. I haven't been on that back elevator since then.
I haven't either, and the couple times I've tried, there hasn't been anybody letting us up.
Okay.
So it's been pretty, I mean, still the same thing.
I wonder if some judges didn't like Facilities and Property Management making that decision unilaterally and shut that down.
Have you seen the, it says elevator modernization in progress?
Well, yeah, the elevator's only 20 years old. I don't know how much elevator technology advances, but I feel like there's been like 3 advances. Like the first one was like a wooden box with a rope, and then it was like a hydraulic pump, and then it was like cables and pulleys with, you know, what is there, make touch screens in there and all that?
Well, at the very least, look, this is a joke.
So we know it's gonna be funny. You're telling us up front.
It's a joke. Look, you pay me $20 million, I'll fix your elevators, I promise.
Oh yeah. Okay, this is dead serious. You pay me $15 million and I'll fix your elevators, I promise.
14.9, call it a deal.
Look, everybody just hunker down. You see those memes about the hunker down? How'd you think the county attorney hunkered us down for the floods?
Well, I keep talking.
I like it. What do you think? Did you get anybody get flooded in?
My street flooded in.
I know a lot of people did, and I think that I wasn't affected by it, but I hope everybody was taken care of and done right by the county and the city. I don't know where it overlaps, but something overlaps somewhere.
Well, it was kind of funny because Thursday, the bad flooding was on Thursday. Courthouse closed on Friday, but the bad flooding was on Thursday. And I was in my office, I had court, and got done with court. I left probably about 12:30 or 1, and started making my way home from downtown to the northwest side. And I got on I-10, and I-10 was shut down.
Yeah.
I could see they had, the Amber Alert sign was saying that the water was actually over the road at Post Oak. So I got off at like Yale, and I went up into the Heights, and I was in my car, and I was like a mid-size SUV. And I got to a point where I was like, I'm gonna be one of those jackasses on TV, like, you know, my car halfway underwater, and I'm like, it just came out of nowhere. It's just like they're saying. I was like ready. I was preparing myself. Like, I never thought I'd be this guy on TV saying this, but it's just like the other people say. Like, everything was fine 1 second, and then it just got really bad really quickly. I thought I was gonna lose my car in the Heights.
Are you serious?
I absolutely panicked. I was on some streets, and the water like rose while I was just sitting there, and this Ford truck was behind me, and if he hadn't backed up and I had no choice but to either go where I was, I probably would have lost the car.
Are you serious?
It came down fast, and it was foolish of me to get off and get into neighborhoods and all that. But here's the thing that was kind of funny is everybody seemed to like, if I had just stayed at my office and waited till 6 or 7, it'd probably have been fine going home.
Yeah.
And that's what they always talk about is when these disasters happen, you need to get out while you can so you don't clog up the roads or put yourself in a more dangerous situation where now you have to have first responders come and rescue you. But it sort of felt like everyone in the city of Houston left work between like 12 and 1:30.
Oh, yeah.
And we're all on the roads. And then I think the reason why schools were closed and courts were closed on Friday, it was a sort of like a,
whoops,
our bad.
Yeah.
We'll give you this day. This is an emergency still. Don't come to work today. And it was sort of like, God, we hope you don't get too pissed off at us for yesterday.
I remember that afternoon, I was working, I was hungry and went to go try to find something to eat. The entire downtown city of Houston had shut down.
On Thursday?
Yep.
Yeah.
I went to 5 or 6 different restaurants looking for food. I went to hotels looking for food. Nothing.
Yeah.
Everybody left.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like and everybody was walking around post-apocalyptic style, like starving, like looking for food. They couldn't find anything.
We're all still in PTSD mode from Harvey and other stuff. It didn't take much water for Houstonians these days to start like flipping into like the world is ending.
I marked myself safe from Harvey from Las Vegas.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That's right. Didn't you get stuck there for a little while?
No, I was there for a while with my buddy Adam and Carissa.
All right.
If I was stuck in Vegas, I'd become a star. I'm kidding. Okay, so let's talk about. So the elevators are terrible. Let's talk about some of the popping things that are happening downtown. One of the big trials that's been going on in Houston currently, and some of the new charges or new cases, accusations that have been filed. The big one that kind of just is in the midst is the individual who was accused and found guilty of murdering the family, coming in from California into Texas. I believe the defense they used might have been insanity.
Yeah.
I didn't watch a lot of the trial. I don't know if y'all know anything more about it.
Was this the one that?
He dressed up as allegedly dressed up as a delivery package individual and
murdered a family of 4, right?
I think murdered a family of 5.
The daughter survived.
The daughter survived with a bullet to her head by pretending dead.
All right.
And then she came in. I heard she came and testified. They live streamed it. It was a big deal downtown. I heard Judge George. I didn't hear. I know Judge The judge presiding from what I understand, it was a tough case. Did a good job. The defense attorneys did a good job. From my understanding, there was some issue regarding mental health. I don't know if they lodged an insanity defense or not.
They
and
did.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, they put forth an insanity defense, but there was way too much planning that went into this. Yeah.
Can you explain what an insanity defense means?
Insanity, legal insanity, of course, as you guys know, is that somebody doesn't realize what they're doing at the time they're doing it is right or wrong.
That has to do with your mental state at the time you commit the offense.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's contrasted with competency, because competency means that you don't know what's going on at the moment that it's supposed to be going on. So if you don't know what's going on, then you can't stand trial.
Sure.
But the insanity is, I just lost temporary control at this time, and that justifies my actions.
Am I incorrect in
too
that
much
the
planning.
state of Texas seeking death on this individual, on this
I
man?
believe so.
Yeah, I ran into one of the attorneys, and I was told his comment was, "This is a punishment case."
Yeah, they're just going to try and have him serve the rest of his life in prison, but he's probably going to get the death penalty.
Is the jury still out on punishment?
I believe so. I haven't checked in on that in a while.
Do you think the government? There's two questions. One, do you think people deserve to die for offenses they commit? Versus, or not versus, but in just another breath, the idea that someone deserves to die is different than whether the government should have the ability to kill somebody.
Yep. Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, the government definitely has the ability to kill people. We have militaries.
Well, fair. Yeah.
This country was born out of warfare.
Well,
A lot of people shed blood, and a lot of people were murdered, and a lot of people were killed for treason.
do you think that the government should have the power to kill people?
Absolutely.
To kill citizens accused or citizens convicted of offenses? I'm literally just asking. I'm asking.
Should they have the power to do it? Absolutely, goes without question. Is it overused? Probably.
Really?
Yeah.
So what says you?
So you asked two questions, and I'm glad you kind of differentiated them. Do you think someone, what was it, the first one, like
The first
deserves
is
to die, or should be killed?
Does somebody
if
deserve to
someone
die?
did something to someone that's close enough to me, I would do everything within my power to erase them from the face of this earth. Do I think that the government should have the lawful authority to take a life, not in a war situation, we can talk about that in another show, but for a conviction for a criminal offense, I'm against that, personally.
What says you, Mike?
No, I think that it should be a tool for the government to exercise.
That's tough, man.
How?
Well, let me ask this.
tough.
Why? What, when you say it's a tool for the government to exercise?
Well, I just believe that we should have the ability to do it.
Is it a retribution thing, or is it a deterrent?
Both. It is both. We did not allow Timothy McVeigh just to spend the
I
rest of
agree.
his days in
See,
prison.
you bring that example in, and I tend.
He blew up a building with babies in it, dude.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
now-
Deserved to
yeah.
die. He
But
should have
now-
been in that building.
But that's it. That's the other question I ask you. Did he deserve to die, or?
But now
Yes.
he's not being punished anymore,
No.
right?
You're right.
And so if he was
And we
still
don't-
alive, rotting in a cell, we could go, he's still being punished to this day.
Living to a ripe old age, so he can talk to other people. And no, he
23
deserves-
hours a day he'd be by himself. The 1 hour he's not, he doesn't have other people to talk to.
It don't matter. I'm glad he's gone.
All right. I'm not saying I
Right.
miss the man. I'm just saying if we like really want to punish somebody, like killing them is like ending their suffering.
Okay,
don't
so
know about that.
do we think that the checks on that? So, who has the power to make that decision to kill?
Hang on, I want to say one thing real quick.
Go for it.
As far as the deterrent argument, I think the only argument that you can make for the death penalty to support it that rationally makes sense is retribution. I think it fails. But as far as the deterrent factor, didn't Timothy McVeigh do what caused him to be executed when the death penalty was available?
Yeah.
So it didn't seem, and everybody who's on death row right now, the only way that they're on death row right now is when they committed their offense, the death penalty was on the table. It hasn't deterred any of the people who it's being subjected to.
Yeah. So retribution it is, and it doesn't matter.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that.
Okay, well, okay, so can you imagine having the ability, the power to seek death? Kim Ogg, District Attorney Ogg has that power here, right? I mean, right, obviously. Yeah. Who has the power do we know who has the power to seek death on the federal side? Who is that?
Ooh, it's,
The attorney?
I think it's probably the AUSA.
The AUSA?
I don't know.
Given the green
All I
light?
can do is guess. Mike, you've done more. I haven't done federal work in a while, but
Yeah, I believe it would be the U.S. Attorney's Office. They would be the ones to determine whether or not to pursue death. So,
but the Attorney General could either override them or give them a directive, probably.
give them a
right?
directive. Yeah, the number one prosecutor in the country would definitely have a say in that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think this case, what did it take? 3 weeks, for a month? And then the punishment phase is going to take another month?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? These lawyers, look, and we're a defense show. I'm a defense-oriented individual. The prosecutors working on this case, God bless them. You have a ton of work on their end. But I'm going to focus on the defense. I can't imagine, as a defense attorney perspective, the gravity and power and heaviness on the shoulders to, number one, defend a case like this. I would welcome the opportunity to do so. I've never worked on a death capital. To save a man's life would be something incredible. But the amount of work and effort and soul that the defense attorneys are putting into this to defend a man for his life is incredible. It's amazing to me. It's something that even as an individual who practices criminal law every day, who is in the trenches like both of y'all, we're grinding, I can't imagine not only sending off, because they have practices too. These are human beings who have families and who have clients and practices, to set aside a practice, a thriving practice, because they're good lawyers.
Well, and it was like at least three or four.
At least 3 or 4 lawyers.
The lead lawyer office is right next to me.
It's amazing.
And you also remember, we just talked about it, the storm came through in the middle of all this.
Oh, yeah.
And on that day, one of the senior paralegals on the case, I was coming off the elevator, she was going on with like her desktop computer. And she was also dealing with her house wasn't taking on water at that time. So you're in the middle of a capital murder trial. You've got the judge, you've got 12 to 14 jurors, you've got bailiffs, court staff, witnesses. And then a storm comes through in the middle of that trial. Judge Powell has to be concerned with all that stuff, making sure everybody comes back, everybody's going to be there, everybody's focused on the case and not what's happening back at home. So not just busy practices and lives and families, but a natural disaster swept through in the middle of that whole thing.
And they're keeping it together, defending this guy. That's amazing to me. Mm-hmm. The amount of stress and pressure is just incredible to me. Have either of you worked on death capitals?
No, I've never done a death capital.
I'm on the trial side, on the post-conviction side. I've helped with writs. But, you said that the ability and whatever you said about saving someone's life, how awesome that would be. How would you handle a loss? Because I know attorneys who handle these who, 10 years after that trial loss, they go down to, or up to Huntsville, or is that where they still do the executions?
Yep.
And they watch their client take their last breath.
I can't, that's amazing.
It's one of the highest suicide rates, is not just in our profession, but if you specialize attorneys who do capital work. That's
tough. That's tough for me to even think about, even to fathom. I lost the case 2 days ago, yesterday, and I'm all torn up about it. Right?
what happened to your client? Did you get the death penalty?
No. and he didn't.
Capital
Yeah, I
misdemeanor.
know. Yeah, as a
What, you have
misdemeanor
probation?
case, and I'm like tripping out. Yes.
Yeah, so you got probation.
Yes. I mean, it's just like, gosh. Let's talk about. God, that's incredible.
Well, yeah, let's switch gears to
Let's switch gears.
different types of punishments for murder. What do you think about 10 years on Geiger?
10 years on Geiger.
Shooting somebody in his own house and she broke in.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, where can I get one of those racist dogs? Did you hear? I mean, can you believe this?
Talking about from her text message?
Yes.
I heard someone try to explain this. What was the message?
It was something like, hey, this dog barks at black people. And then she was like, where can I get one?
Oh.
It's like, that's incredible to me. You know what? So let's talk about jury trials in that sense, in that regard. It is very difficult because you've just argued that this individual is not guilty, right? And you've poured your heart into it from voir dire to the verdict. Not guilty, not guilty. State has done this, state has done that. He's innocent unless proven guilty. He's innocent, he's not guilty, not guilty. And then they find him guilty. And then all the stuff comes in. Me as a juror, I would feel cheated on. I would feel pissed off.
So you're talking about in guilt, innocence, you don't get to hear much about like what someone's background is and
Well, the lawyer,
text messages and stuff like that.
the lawyer had just been arguing that this individual is not guilty, right? The state hasn't proven the case. They are not guilty. And then you find them guilty, and then you realize, like, are you kidding me? In this case, she wanted to kill somebody the entire time. And if it could have been a black person, that would have been great.
Well, sure. That's where it comes into interpretation. Like,
I would be pissed. I would be hurt as a juror.
Yeah.
If I started to believe and trust in that defense attorney, and then it turns out, nah.
She's just a racist dirtbag.
She's just a racist.
Did exactly what you wanted.
You know, I ran into an individual. I'm not a gun owner. Gun owners give us a call.
Sell you a gun because you don't have one? Or?
No, we can meet in the alley, $50, we'll call it a day. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. If the gun owners, I ran into somebody and somebody said, you know what? The gun owners with the HCCLA, not all of them, you have this group of people, this smaller group, this segment that says, whenever I get that opportunity, this is my opportunity. When I get to use my gun, I'm going to use my gun. And this is it. And this is it. And whenever it is, this opportunity might never happen again, but here it is.
You mean like, when you say use my gun, you mean to kill someone?
Yeah, to shoot somebody.
So just make sure we
Yes.
run the thing at the end of the show, Mark, that says that the views expressed by the hosts are theirs and not HCCLA's or mine.
I'm just saying.
You think there's a select group of gun owners who actually are just itching for a chance to
Yes.
off somebody?
How about
Yes,
this?
I do.
How about this? The Goins indictment says that an armed cop is an act clearly dangerous to human life.
Really?
That's an interesting position for the district attorney to take.
Right?
Because I've got some assault on public servants that now I have an affirmative defense on, apparently. So,
Well, yes. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's how they pled it?
Yeah. Brian Garris pointed that out.
Hey, Brian, if you're watching, give us a call. That's an interesting point. Let's talk about the venue for the Goins trial. I mean, not the Goins, pardon me, Geiger.
why do you think that, like, I'm not saying you're right or wrong, but why do you think that there's just there's a group of people who...
I don't think all gun owners. I think there is a select group of gun owners who own the gun.
And they're otherwise lawfully abiding.
Citizens.
And they're just waiting for a legally justified...
They're waiting to shoot somebody who they catch burglarizing a home.
Like Joe Horn.
Like Joe Horn.
So
and
that's
he
what I was
walked.
saying. Like, you think Joe Horn was like, this is my chance, and I may not have another chance to shoot a brown person in the back as they're running away from my neighbor's house.
Not the only factor in play. Not the only factor in play, but a factor. Here's the chance. Pop. It's just like a hunter, just like somebody waiting for a deer. Comes by, pop. I think there's a small segment of people.
Yeah, there's definitely psychopaths and sociopaths out there. I wonder if they're like lawfully abiding otherwise, and they're just, I don't know. I'm not saying you're wrong, despite what my commentary sounds like. I hope it's just making me think really hard as we're looking for a house to buy. Maybe I need to look closer at the neighbors around me, and
you gotta know your neighbors, man.
Gotta figure out how to tell for those
members
of that select group.
There is nothing worse than a terrible neighbor.
Yeah.
As a homeowner, I'm telling you, My neighbors are great. My neighbors are awesome.
They're all sitting home going, are we the bad one or is it the other one that's the bad one?
But I have had so many instances where you got some neighbors fighting and it just escalates and escalates and escalates and escalates. It's bad.
You had to call the police?
They call police. I don't get called until something happens.
Oh, you're the one they hear arguing?
No, I'm the lawyer for a lot of them. It happens. You haven't seen these neighbor cases? They're terrible.
Oh, yeah.
These neighbors can get. In any event, there's.
Well, I mean, some of your neighbors just walk into your house and shoot you. But
Yeah,
I think
that was an
10 years
accident.
for a murder.
You were just bringing that right back to that, huh?
Right.
Well, let me ask you. Okay, 12 individuals, 12 human beings found Geiger guilty of murder. She murdered somebody and intentionally and knowingly killing, and give her 10 years.
Yeah.
Good? Not good? Just? Not just?
I mean, it's just because it's within the range of punishment.
Fair.
I've gotten less than 10 on a murder before.
Well, I remember this one time Mike Driver walked a guy out of court for slitting another guy's throat.
Yeah.
This is Mike Driver, though, that we're talking about. That's true. So.
Was it self-defense or he didn't really do it?
Sure.
Okay.
Self-defense.
It's
Ah,
self-defense. He did
They're
it.
in danger.
So we're sitting at a bar, and Mike says, "I'm going to up north tomorrow." I said,
Oh, this is that case?
Oh, that's Midland, yeah.
I said, "Why?" He said, "This other guy slit another guy's throat in an old West Texas showdown." He says, "You want to come?" With every ounce of my being, I wanted to say yes. I was like, "Man, I got court tomorrow," and the guy comes back with a not guilty. It's good.
Happens.
It does.
Awesome.
It does. Juries. All right. 10 years on a murder. Now, let's talk about what some of the punishment evidence. We weren't there. I wasn't there. Apparently, there was some sort of like racist text about some dog. Shoot. You better be ready because I'm about to shoot you meme or something. Another one was, I'm already dressed for your funeral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all pretty bad stuff to hear on a punishment phase, but we don't know what was going through their head. That low amount of time for a murder, it wasn't necessary. They must have thought it is murder, but it's not cold-blooded murder, and it's not sudden passion. It's just
A mistake?
well,
That's not murder, though.
she didn't pick up on the clues in the house, and what was her? Was she intoxicated when she walked in? We don't know.
Well, I heard an interesting analysis. The jury had to choose between not guilty, involuntary manslaughter, or murder. The big difference between involuntary manslaughter, other than the punishment range, and murder is intent, right? She apparently testified that when she pulled the trigger, she intended to kill him. So the jury, there was no legal basis for them to find him guilty, her guilty of involuntary manslaughter. So if they don't want to walk her, then all they can do is find her guilty of murder.
Interesting.
I mean, I wonder if negligent homicide was even brought up.
I don't
Is
know,
it, though?
but even that,
be.
but
A
an
reasonable
intentional
person.
act is not a negligent act. Now, I guess she wouldn't be charged with negligently entering the wrong apartment and causing the death. She'd be charged with negligently pulling the trigger and causing the death. But
Yeah,
I don't know if they would have gotten that because the prosecutor did a good job in questioning. It was, I guess, based on your training, I'm just imagining how this setup in the questioning went, but based on your training, when you pulled the trigger, you had identified your target, you had cleared the space around him and the space behind him, and you shot with the intent to kill.
Yeah,
that's what you're trained to do, right? And I don't think that forecloses negligence or reckless, an unintentional, sudden passion, any of that.
Well, I don't believe she entered that apartment on purpose. It's clearly the wrong apartment. But once she's in there, doesn't recognize any of her stuff and shoots somebody, that is murder.
Right.
And on the other side, if Bothan Jean had a gun, he could have killed her. And I think he would have walked.
Yeah.
I'd like to think charges wouldn't even be filed against him.
I would hope that as well because it is his castle. His home is his castle. It's castle doctrine. So I think that he shouldn't have even been charged.
I do suspect, though, that if a black man shot a police officer in Dallas, Texas, that he would probably get handcuffs put on him.
Exactly.
And I whatever happens later, he's going to probably get a ride downtown.
Do you think that she was the fact that she was a police officer, she got less time?
Yeah.
Possibly.
You think so?
Yeah.
You say yeah, you say possibly.
Possibly. I mean, I don't know if, hypothetically, if it was a black officer in Dallas who entered the wrong apartment and shot a young, blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman, do you think that guy would have gotten 10
No,
years?
dude would have died in prison.
Yeah.
Not a chance.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is what I believe.
Do you think that been because he's black or because she's white, blonde-haired, and blue-eyed?
Both.
A lot of this, from what I've heard and read, a lot of the studies show that the bigger factor in application of the death penalty or lengthier sentences is not so much the race of the defendant as the race of the victim.
Mm-hmm.
If you kill a white person, you're going to get a longer or more likely to get the death penalty than if you kill a non-white person, which starts to play on other things on how we value lives.
Well, y'all's
I wonder how
lives are
much-
more valuable.
So
I mean,
I wonder how much,
kidding.
not even the two of us together are more valuable.
No, yeah, like it's like I make up like a 1/5 of like one of you. I mean,
Oh, we're not supposed to laugh at this.
Oh, Lordy.
well,
So I don't even know where I was going. But I wonder how much the fact that Botham Jean is a black man, maybe that's why. I'm not saying.
See,
no
but there-
juror's
there-
like, oh, he's just a black man. That's only worth 10 years in prison.
from what I understand though, there were some African Americans on the jury.
Yeah, it was apparently it was a very good jury for. It was a very good cross section of the population. It wasn't a whitewashed jury or.
Do you feel that? And none of us are obviously black, but I'm asking this
Obviously.
question. I mean, right, duh. But I'm asking like, you gotta, because there was some hugging by the judge, right? There was a 10-year.
What do you think about? Well,
Well, what I'm trying to say is if the punishment had come back, it came back 10 years, and a lot of people are pissed. Particularly there's a lot of people who are pissed. There's white people who are pissed. There's black people who are pissed. There's Hispanic are pissed. But within the community, at least on my Facebook feed, people are pissed about the 10-year sentence. And I'm wondering if
I think it's too low.
well, that the individuals in that community, if they had given, if the punishment had been too high, it would have been like, oh, there's black people on the jury and they swayed everybody and they wanted to come down and send a message, right? The 10-year sentence is obviously not a message. A lot of people within the community thought that this was going to be a message-sending verdict, and when they came back guilty, most people thought that this was the time that finally we get to stick it to the cop or stick it to the system, not the cop, the system, that enough's enough and we're going to send a message. And that obviously didn't happen. So I'm wondering if that individuals from that community said we have to be cognizant of that, not give her some outrageous sentence. We have to forgive her. We have to hug her to show that we're being reasonable.
That's an interesting take. That's a
You
very
understand what I'm saying? Because it's all in the media, it's all in the news. That was supposed to be she was supposed to get 30 or 40 years, man.
I wouldn't have been surprised if she'd have gotten 20.
20, at least 20.
I had it at 15 to 20.
I had it at 20 to 30.
I had it at
But
30 to
that-
40.
But it's because of the whole mistake in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like she wanted to kill somebody that night. She went into the wrong house on accident, saw somebody, and shot him. I don't think she wanted to kill anybody necessarily, but once she was confronted by this person in his own house, then she terminated with extreme prejudice as she was trained to do. So,
Well, as her memes said.
yeah. So I mean, but the whole basis for the homicide was that she was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
But I didn't follow it close enough. Did the defense not present mistake of fact defense?
Yes, so let's
Yes,
talk
they
about
do.
this. This is very interesting.
Yeah, mistake of fact is fascinating. You don't have to find that if the mistake of fact was that she went into the wrong apartment, and they don't have to find whether or not it's reasonable that she went into the wrong apartment. They have to decide if she had been correct, if she had not made a mistake of fact, if she had actually been in her apartment, was she justified in the homicide? And I think under the Castle doctrine, she would. And I haven't read the instruction, but I heard that there was a kind of a
Yes.
head-scratching jury instruction that the judge granted that maybe shouldn't have been granted. That was favorable to the defendant.
I think
but
it
it
should.
allowed a Castle doctrine application, and I didn't ever put together whether that was like applying the Castle doctrine, which says you can kill someone if they come into your house and in your castle, to like a mistake of fact.
Yeah.
So we can.
That was the
Can you
instruction.
explain that?
Well, that was the instruction. She got self-defense and mistake of fact, which was kind of
Wow.
bizarre. But it wasn't bizarre necessarily because if the judge had kept out the instruction, I think that's reversible error.
Sure.
Right there.
Yeah.
So
The judge was trying to make sure that whatever happened was.
it was on the up and up. So I don't disagree with necessarily the judges including that language.
I thought I was walking into my apartment, and I killed somebody who I thought was in there.
Yeah.
So if the jury
freaking
rejected
bizarre.
that, then does that mean that the jury thought that she did want to kill somebody that night?
No, I think that they said, okay, regardless of whether or not you had a mistake of fact, you still weren't justified in the homicide.
Oh,
but
that's right.
because
There
of
was
it,
testimony about
but
that, too.
because of it, we're not gonna. This isn't a murder.
Yeah,
This is a murder. This is a 10-year murder max, and I've gotten 10 years on a murder before. It's not.
I got set.
Oh, yeah.
I got set. I was a part of a 7-year murder at one point. Like, yeah, I mean, it happened.
What was the race of the victim
Which one?
in your 10-year murder?
Black.
What was the race of your victim in the 7.5?
Black and black. Black shooter, black
on
shooter,
black.
black victim.
Have you had longer sentences on murders?
Yeah, life.
Yeah.
I had a case
What was
where
what was the victim's race in that one?
Hispanic.
You see?
My
You
client-
see? What's up?
And another one was black.
The victim was? In
Yeah,
your life?
and the actor. But the Hispanic ones, that guy created a fake Facebook profile of a young lady and lured a 17-year-old kid out to a park and shot him 6 times in the chest and in
It
the
wouldn't
back.
really matter what anybody's skin color was in that kind of situation.
No, that was that one was bizarre.
Have you seen a difference? And this is we're talking courthouse. Have you seen a difference in the disparities of sentencing when you got like 2 gang members killing each other versus like
Yeah, I've seen that. because
victims who are more
when it's-
favorable, so to
It's
say?
a bunch of scumbags killing each other. This is what's going on in the minds of the jurors. If it's a bunch of like thugs shooting each other up, they don't care. I mean, slap a number on there and send them away. I've seen that happen. It's like,
Yeah.
there were no good parties here.
Drug deal gone bad,
Yeah.
or what they call vultures, where they come and they try to rob other drug dealers. Mm-hmm. Houston's very dangerous, by the way. Just letting the viewers know.
It's very dangerous.
It's very, very dangerous. Half the things that happen today we can't even say on this show or anywhere on TV, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently in that one, when they were getting ready for trial, the one that we were just talking about, the family homicide, one day I saw some of the staff in the office like crying in the elevator as they were leaving, and there were times they were going through the scene photos. And these are some hardened people who've seen tough stuff, and they left, not the attorneys necessarily, but they left early in tears from looking at crime scene photos. So yeah, we see and hear stuff that it's a good thing that we can all laugh and smile about stuff, because
It's
because
we're all dead inside.
I was hoping somebody else would say that. They have no soul, it's all gone.
So, did she get a fair trial in Dallas?
I think so.
10 years? If I'm the defense, I'm like 10 years, pop.
And this brings up another thing. Does she appeal?
Should she appeal?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, if you
Absolutely not.
careful what you wish for, right?
Exactly. I had an appeal once where I got 10 years, appealed it, came back, got 20.
Oh, Mike, no.
Undo
God.
never mind.
No, don't appeal.
Can we have the others?
Yeah.
We've been involved in cases where, it's some terrible offense. He gets like 6 years. You're like, nah, we ain't appealing nothing. No, he's going to do half of that. He'd be out. I mean, it's tough. Does she appeal? What do you think, Justin?
I have no idea. I want to know, do you think that if the, well, do you think she appeals? 'Cause you keep asking us questions. Are you asking us to ask you a question? What do you think, JD?
I think she sits down her 10. She gets out in 6, 7.
I'd venture to say she'd spend about 8 years.
I'm thinking
PG
8. Yeah, I'm
PG
thinking
offense,
8.
So,
Out of a 10-year. Where's she going to go? Huntsville?
yeah.
Well, I'm curious. Do you think we're going to hear from any of the jurors?
Possibly. I mean, it was a very high-profile trial up in Dallas.
Yeah.
We might hear a little bit from the jurors there. Like, what were you thinking? Why did you give 10? And I'm pretty resolved in my mind that it was all due to that basis of the mistake. And if she had just not made a mistake, then Botham Jean would be alive. Mm-hmm. And so she didn't like break into his apartment to rob and murder him. That'd be a completely different set of facts.
Right.
Well, we have seen regarding appeals, for example, David Temple, retried, found guilty.
Again.
I mean, I guess he got life. Didn't he got life the first time, didn't he?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, Bernie, that movie where Bernie, they appealed that. He got the same sentence or more, or it's about the same, I think. Who else recently? There's another one, another big case. Appeal didn't turn out so well. Oh, well.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens. Oh, the guy who choked the other Mexican dude out at Denny's.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
The sheriff
yeah.
officer.
The husband of the
husband.
sheriff's
Well, the
officer.
first was a mistrial, right?
Mistrial. They tried it again. They brought in Sarah Seeley and company. Sarah Seeley is an incredible advocate, by the way, if you're watching. I doubt she is, but she's an incredible advocate.
She watches every week.
Every week.
She came in and won that case. And what'd he get, 20?
I think so.
Yeah, like 20 on that.
Well, so I've been really struggling with this in the last few days. And I had a really good conversation with the judge who's been on the show before, but I'll let her express her opinions herself. But there was a case, I think up in Ohio, of a black mother of 3 or 4 kids who wanted her kids to go to a better school. Mm-hmm. So she faked her she put the false address on their school enrollment papers, and she got a 5-year sentence for falsifying a government document or whatever they call it up in Ohio, so her kids could go to a better school district.
Yep.
And the attorney who handled her case was very frustrated and upset with that sentence. Apparently, after Felicity Huffman, who defrauded college admissions and paid thousands and thousands of dollars to, fake things, or I think she had somebody else take the test for her daughter or something.
Oh, I don't recall.
She got 14 days in jail. And if that lawyer who represented the woman in Ohio started getting a bunch of phone calls saying, what do you think about the Huffman decision? And that, from what I understand, they were expecting his reaction to be, she should have gotten 5 years. But instead, his reaction was, no, my client should have gotten 14 days or something like that.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of struggled with this because I think minority communities are kind of owed one, right? Because they've been denied justice for so long. They've seen justice not come for them. They've not gotten justice other times. And then someone like Officer Geiger goes into the wrong apartment and shoots and kills somebody, and then she gets 10 years. The question I'm starting to struggle with is, should she have gotten more, like someone of a different race or someone who kills someone of a different race? Or should the people who've gotten more time gotten something more like 10 years?
Well, this is exactly what I'm saying. That everybody, not everybody, man, a lot of people were expecting this to be a signal, a message. And they're going to make Geiger an example.
By giving her a lengthy sentence.
Yes, and they didn't.
However, I mean, for officer-involved shootings,
name 2 more.
That's not the case to do that. The case to do that my opinion would be Goins.
Let's talk about
He
going.
abused his office. He abused his power, lied on affidavits, and a family is dead. Like, he abused his position as a police officer. That would be a more appropriate target for saying, oh, you know, enough's enough. We need to end the police brutality, corruption, or whatever, because he did it as an officer. He used his office and he used the resources.
Allegedly.
Well, that's
Allegedly.
No. I mean that. The man is innocent until proven guilty.
Correct.
Okay.
He is.
Okay, but
And Nicole DeBoard is his lawyer, and
And
she's very good.
she's a bomb lawyer too.
okay. So what was the race of the victims in Goins' case?
Goins, they
White.
were white.
And what is Goins' race?
He's black.
So that's going to be
Dude, see, well,
that's going to be really interesting to see if this is really a race thing or if this is really a law enforcement overstepping and abusing power.
I believe it.
according to the
Now, I know how
chief,
the, I know how the
chief-
DA is going to frame it. If they're smart, they're going to frame it not as a race thing, as an abuse of power. But
Exactly.
when I say
You think so?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why do you think they would do that? You think they're gonna put two white DAs on this one, or are they gonna put two blacks, or a mix?
I don't know.
Or a man and a woman.
I know they're thinking about it.
You know,
I know they're thinking about
darn
it.
right they're looking at it.
Yeah.
If I was Kim Ogg and Joanne Music and all these people up at and I would be, who are we putting on it?
Oh,
I would
yeah.
say man, woman, black, white, black,
you remember
black,
when there was-
woman, man, woman, whatever.
Very recently, there was a not unattractive female, very pregnant. I don't know why I'm saying very pregnant, you're pregnant or not pregnant, but very visibly pregnant prosecutor who all of a sudden went from misdemeanor court to sitting second chair on all these sexual assault of a child cases the more pregnant she got.
It happens.
So yeah, that office is.
You know it. I mean, even as defense
So what do you
attorneys, I'm
think?
looking
What do you
for
think? Who's the DA gonna try the case against?
I think the DA is, if she's, oh man, I don't know. That's tough. I think
Because what does their go-to death penalty team generally look like?
well, the ones that the death penalty team that's trying it against Neil Davis and who are the other attorneys?
Chernoff.
Who is it?
Ed Chernoff?
Ed Chernoff. Is he trying that one?
The one that,
Yeah.
that's in punishment now?
Yeah.
We're not sure about the punishment? Yeah.
Those guys are incredible lawyers, amazing lawyers, but on the other side they have a pretty good team too. They have a phenomenal team. I can't spout out their names at the moment.
Samantha Connect did closing. She's a white woman. She's got kids. A family was killed. You know?
Who do you think they put on there?
On that case? I don't know the names of enough of the death penalty people, but I don't know.
That'd be amazing.
If you want to have the jurors identify with the victims, then I don't know. Do you make white prosecutors? If you want to show that this isn't racially motivated, do you use black prosecutors?
Or do you think it even
like
matters? Do you think it even matters?
I don't know.
I think it does.
I think that race matters in pretty much everywhere, subconsciously at least. But I don't know if it matters enough to the DA for them to make a decision based on that.
They're about, you put the best people on it, I suppose.
Yeah,
Right?
That's right.
You put the best people on it.
that's what that's what the answer would be.
Well, you put the best people on it.
Yeah.
God, it's a tough call. I know I would if I was the I'd be thinking about who I'm putting on this case. Because it's going to be all over the news, all over the media. It's going to be everywhere.
Have they decided? Are they seeking death on him?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think they're seeking death on the individual, and I don't know what to do. God rest his soul. The officer who was murdered.
Oh, Dhaliwal. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And granted, we don't know any of the facts, and the individual is presumed innocent unless proven guilty. Godspeed on all of that.
Man, I think we are defense, but we are all humans, and I think we should express on behalf of the show and HCCLA our sympathies to
I agree.
the Dhaliwal family. I mean, I saw him around the courthouse. Did you ever see him around there?
I did.
And
I did.
I remember his name tag, and it is clear that he was sick from his turban, and I remember noting that, hey, that shade of blue exactly matches the uniform. You know, what I didn't know is that he was the first and led the way to be allowed to wear his religious head dressing, and was all around a decent guy. You know, he wasn't doing anything like, not that anyone deserves to die necessarily, but he wasn't doing anything like Goins was doing when he was killed.
Right.
You know, he's just walking back to his car after a conversation with a routine traffic stop, and this guy gets out of the car, at least from what the reports say. I haven't seen any of the evidence myself, and is gunned down. I was driving, the day it happened, I was driving out of downtown, and I'm pretty sure his vehicle and the defendant's vehicle were towed by me.
Oh, yeah?
Because they were coming into town, and there was 2 flatbed tow trucks, the first one towing a sheriff's deputy, and there were escorts, and then the second vehicle was a Crown Vic with windows broken out. And then, was it yesterday was the services? I was driving into downtown, and his procession passed me on 290, and I gotta tell you, like, I'm not really an emotional person. I'm not, certainly in those
Your heart's generally cold.
Yes, thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, on a warm day. And, but all of a sudden, like, I'm in 290 traffic at 8:30 in the morning. 7:55, Judge, and it's bumper to bumper. And you can see the procession coming from a mile where the road had been cleared practically, and there's more police coming down there than I'd ever seen before. And all of a sudden, these cars around me started kind of pulling off on the side, and a couple of them were marked patrol vehicles. The officers got out and stood there. They were in uniform with a salute as the procession went by. I saw a couple people get out who must have either just been citizens or maybe out of uniform police officers, and they got out and they stood with their hands over their hearts. I mean, it was just right there in the middle of the freeway.
I mean, may
emotional.
May God bless his soul and his family, and I wish him, our condolences. I think so. Let me ask you this, because we're defense attorneys. You represent a cop killer. Could you do it?
Yes.
You could?
Yes.
You could handle that?
Yes.
That's tough, man. It's tough. I guess it's not any other tough than representing anyone else accused of a crime. But you got to realize, though, the attorney representing a person alleged to have killed a police officer, to kill a cop, alleged to have killed a cop, that's the accusation. You got to imagine that could be scary. Everywhere you go, everywhere you look, keep in mind, officers are human beings. I'm not saying there'd be any sort of retaliation, but not from the law enforcement, but just from humans in general, people. It's a big publicized case.
They know who you are.
They know who you are. That's
But
tough.
on the flip side of that, if they really understand the system, they should hope and pray that someone charged with killing a cop gets an attorney as excellent as someone like Mike Driver.
I agree.
Because if their conviction comes out of that, there's not going to be anything to reverse, because Mike's going to have done everything he could and put on a proper defense.
Yeah.
So if you're law enforcement, if you're pro-law enforcement, and you want convictions to be final, you want excellent defense attorneys representing defendants. No matter how the worst, more scummy, the worst you want something to happen to a defendant, you better hope and pray that they have a really good attorney. Otherwise, you're probably worried about technicalities and legal loopholes. They're going to get freed on that, on a reversal on appeal.
No, and this is the thing. Everybody charged with a crime, whether it's misdemeanor assault or child pornography, the worst in society have just as many rights as the best in society.
Yep.
So you have to just roll your sleeves back and do your job.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that this big DA race coming up?
Yeah.
It's coming through.
There is.
Right now, I think I've counted four individuals.
Who's running, you know?
I hear, DA Ogg, Adi Jones, Morris, Robert Morris is now.
Oh, I did hear that.
Todd Overstreet.
Todd Overstreet.
These are
Todd
all
DuPont?
Democrats,
I'm
right?
Is it right? I don't know who's going to run on the Republican side. I don't know. That'd be fun to bring them back.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Well, I've heard some. So this will be the first year Texas has not have the option of a straight party vote. So I've heard some pretty interesting analysis that if Ogg wins the nomination and a Republican runs against her, that could turn out a lot of Republicans to vote who will actually go through all 19 or 20 pages of the ballot. And
is it because Republicans have a reputation of being more diligent going down the ballot?
Statistically, they do.
And Dems are more lazy? That's racist.
That's
straight racist, bro.
Who said lazy?
That's straight
That's
racist.
your word.
That's straight
Why am I
racist. No, I know. That's what they say. They
Dems
say
vote the top of the ballot, and Republicans typically vote all the whole ballot.
that's messed up, bro.
That's not my numbers.
Talk to
It is messed
Castro
up.
about
But
that.
you know what? That just means when you get to page 6,
Julian
JB,
Castro.
don't go, this is too long, just cast vote. Go to page 7, and then go to page 8, and then page 9. Go all the way through it. Because actually, the ones that matter the most are the ones at the bottom of the ballot, right? Like,
Yeah, it's in most local elections. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
You want to know who's going to take more taxes out of your pocket? It's not going to be as much like the senators and the president you're voting for. It's going to be the commissioner who's going to set the property tax rate for your house next year.
Well, Mike,
What's up?
final thoughts? What you thinking?
What the? An hour's already gone by?
Easy, man. And I'm having to cut it off. Well,
Yeah, we've had a very exciting week here in justice in Texas with the Geiger trial, and contrasting that with the stuff that's going down here with officer-involved potential misfeasance, I guess.
it's Gotham City.
Maybe.
You know, the trial of Lucky Ward is coming up. The most notorious alleged criminal to ever walk through Harris County.
It's a movie or?
No, Mr. Lucky Ward.
Do you know what he's talking about?
No.
Okay.
It's
Like,
great.
is there a courthouse
You got,
thing
I think you got Lisa Andrews on it. No, or you got
This is a real case? What are you
Mandy
talking about?
Miller. You got a few of the big. Yeah.
It's a pending case right now?
Yeah.
What do you
Big
mean is the
time.
most notorious? So we're going to have to come back and talk about this another
We're gonna talk about it. Justin Harris, last word. Send us out.
I hope we can get the team for Lucky Ward on here to talk about this case I haven't heard anything about.
Take us home.
No, this is your show, dude.
Ladies and gentlemen, Reasonable Doubt with my best friend, Mike Driver, my esteemed colleague and best friend as well, Justin Harris.
Wait, which one? Yeah, both?
Well, my both. Chill. Thank you for tuning in to Reasonable Doubt. We look forward to seeing you next Thursday. Mark, wrap us up.
That's it.
That's it.
Where's the music? The awesome theme song.
I think I